When we talk about AI implementation to help businesses scale, we know that conversational AI is at the forefront of this, right? 75% of all my solutions that I've built in the past 8 months happen to be conversational AI. So in this video, I'll walk you through 4 key use cases of conversational AI that can completely transform your business in 2025. These will be split between voice-based and text-based, and for each, I will show you the working product and then walk through how exactly it impacts your business. And I've also templated some of these as downloadable links in the description. All right, so starting off with a huge one, what we're going to do is we're going to instantly call a lead that puts in their information via this opt-in, so this fill out forms here, which will trigger a make.com automation to call them within seconds of their opt-in with a personalized retail AI agent to take the next steps and push them further down the pipeline. All right, so if I just jump into my form here, this is the fill out form. In this case, we are doing a gym example, but obviously you can apply this to any sort of opt-in that you can do online like this. We're just going to put in our information over here and we are going to say that our goal is to lose weight. And the reason we want to do that is because we would like to make weight for an MMA tournament. And in here, we can just input our phone number. So now we have submitted this and we should be expecting a call literally in seconds. And here we go. So we got AI calling. If we just pick that up. Hello?
Hey, is this Kai?
Yeah, that's me.
Hey, thanks for opting in. I saw that you want to lose weight to make weight for an MMA tournament, and that's something we take very seriously. Is now a bad time?
No, now's a good time.
Okay, great, Kai. Would you like to come in for a lose weight workout with us? You can try it out for a week, just to see how it feels.
Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome, Kai. I'll let the team know you're interested in the lose weight workout trial for a week.
All right, let's just finish that up. So obviously that's a very impressive use case, but let me talk a little bit about why this is actually such a huge business opportunity that you can start implementing with solutions like this. So what you're looking at over here is the 3 pillars that we make sure to identify within each of the agents that we make to make sure that they are as beneficial as possible for our clients. So the number 1 factor that we look for here is them being able to call the client instantly. And as you've just seen, we opted in and within seconds, this automation was triggered over here. Very simple automation. And we were called within seconds. But not only that, the call was personalized as well. So it wasn't just a generic message that anyone could have heard and then maybe just not become interested. It was actually personalized to our particular use case. And so what happens when we couple these two together and we reach out to them within the first minute of their opt-in is we increase the likelihood that they close as a client by 391%, which is a huge driver of success for solutions like this, okay? And so that covers the first 2 components. And then the next thing that you kind of started to see towards the end of that demo there is that it looks to take next steps as well. So what that looks like that the voice agent was trying to tell me is that it would notify the team and then connect me to a help desk to actually take me further down the pipeline or book an appointment. I just didn't show you that because I would then just be talking to myself, but that just goes to show how powerful this retail setup is. Now let me walk through broadly how the setup looks. So let me just show you that a little bit to tell you what actually makes it special. As you can see, this prompt here isn't even that extensive, but what happens that makes it special is that we give this the script that it adheres to depending on how the person opted in from fill out forms. So it is obviously going to say, hey, is this name, which is a value of our fill out forms. But then we create a personalized line using this make.com setup. So this GPT module here sends a personalized line, which is then going to be part of the script of the AI when it calls us back after the opt-in. So those 2 factors is really the 2 components that I talked about. So the calling instantly and then the personalized line. And then in terms of the agent pushing the lead further down the pipeline, what we've got here in our functions is a transfer call tool here that I titled lead interested. So if we click on that, we can see that we are describing this tool to the agent to use this tool to pass on the prospect to a help desk. So in other words, bring in a human to the equation, but we can do all sorts of things. We can just book this trade on our cal.com, as you can see over here. We can check the availability, we can send them an SMS, and we can even make a custom function, which in that case would be a whole different make.com setup or something from a similar platform. So not only is it an agent that adheres to this whole setup and creates benefits off this foundation alone, but it actually sets up a very flexible way that you can make alterations and maybe notify the sales team in a different way. And so this foundational conversational AI is very powerful, and yeah, the opportunity is just huge with this. But anyway, moving on. Quick one from me: if you're enjoying the video so far, if you're interested in any of the solutions that I show you today and you'd like to see them in action within your business, then you can contact me directly using the booking link in the description. Now back to the video. So this next one is quite interesting as well, and as you can see, it is a little bit complicated. So let me walk you through the solution. So what we call this is the ultimate receptionist, just because it is so complex and it has so many capabilities to deal with customers as they call in. So what it is another retail AI agent that through make.com has access to all of these tools. So for whoever comes in, it is able to schedule appointments, check the availability. It can register new clients, so new business, on the actual software management platform or CRM. It can cancel appointments, get client info if they already exist, reschedule appointments, and if it identifies that none of these prior tools are actually helpful for the particular use case, then it also has a tool here to transfer to a manager to actually aid the customer calling. So if you pay a receptionist $50,000 a year, then you might consider a solution like this. So now I'm going to give it a ring to show you guys how that works.
Welcome to One Physiotherapy. I am the clinic's AI receptionist. How may I be of service?
Hi there, I just want to book in an appointment regarding a mild wrist injury.
Oh, ouch, wrist injuries can be a real hassle. Is this something that's urgent, or are you just looking to get it checked out soon? And is this your first time visiting our clinic?
Yeah, it's my first time, but it's nothing too urgent, just a checkup.
Thanks for letting me know. So since it's your first time, I'll just need a couple of details from you. Can I get your first and last name? And what day were you hoping to come in for your appointment?
Just anytime today, and my first name is CAI, and my last name is RIVERO.
Just to confirm, that's CAIRIVERO, right? And since it's your first time, I'll also need your email address to complete the booking. Once you give me that, I'll check for the next available slot with one of our physios for today.
Cool. So it's CAIQUE.RIVERO@gmail.com.
So for today, we've got a few physios available with open slots at 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. Would you prefer one of those times? And do you have any preference for your physio, or should I just book you with the next available?
Yeah, just the next available one. We'll do 12 p.m.
Awesome, Kike. You're all booked in for your first appointment today at 12 p.m. with our next available physio. You should get a confirmation email shortly.
Cool, thank you. But and if we go into our email, it shows that we got confirmation for our appointment that we have just booked in. So let me just quickly recap why the solution is so special, right? So if you noticed, it sounded very, very human-like. It was empathetic. In this case, it was for a physio clinic. So just acknowledging that, for example, the patient has some sort of pain or injury that they would like to take care of was a huge thing that we made sure to put in the prompt. By the way, this is something that we made for a client of ours. And apart from that, we obviously have the fact that it is able to make multiple decisions, including handing it off to a human if it does find no other way to help the customer calling in. And ultimately, this is the result, right? So it reduces up to 90% of human intervention, which if you're just getting calls from a clinic at very high volumes, then this solution is perfect for that. And I'd say this is the biggest one if that's you, right? And another factor that I want to talk about just before I move on to the solution overview is that it chooses which physio in this case to allocate the person with, because a lot of times what these solutions lack is the ability to distinguish between the specialties of the different physios. And so in this case, we made sure to list everyone's, job capabilities and what they're actually better at and even what they prefer. And so this is all things that the agent factors into choosing and allocating the physiotherapist with the actual client. So let me show you what that looks like. So this here is the entire build. We, in this case, are using Simply Book Me to book all the appointments. And you can see here, how this branches off, which indicates all of the tools that the agent uses. Some even branch off into different branches off the back of the tools. So it is kind of complex, but what I want to touch on here is the agent itself. In comparison to the last prompt that I showed you, this one is quite extensive, right? And so because it is so long, there's only a couple points that I really want to touch on here with you. The first being the actual physio data that we provided. Okay, so all of this here is the general practitioners, what they do, and the services provided. And then further down is we have the specialization. So obviously I've masked this with the names of just generic people, just made up names. But these can be other physiotherapists, right? They can be dentists, they can be sales reps. So this ability for the AI to actually distinguish and allocate the prospect with the correct person boost this ability of the receptionist even more to kind of leave humans out of this process. But that's pretty much what I wanted to touch on, which is a further capability which is only found in the prompt of the actual agent. But yeah, now moving on to the text-based conversational AI. All right, so now moving on to the first text-based conversational AI. It is a WhatsApp qualification agent that we have connected to N8N via meta services, right? So what we've done in the actual N8N workflow is we have given it a memory using just a simple memory node from that is native to N8N. We have given it a qualification criteria, which was all within the prompt. So that was just simply, did they have the budget and were they the authority? So were they the decision maker? And then again, it's always this idea of the next steps. We give it a tool to delegate if they are qualified via Slack. So it is a notification that in this case we give to a sales team to then tell them that the prospect is qualified and then giving them the first and last name as well as their contact information. So this is what it looks like over here. So this is the chat box that the agent is actually based in. And you can see I've got all these past conversations and I've been qualified multiple times. So I have to ask it to just qualify me again. But this is kind of how it goes, right? So it says, just double check, are you currently using marketing channels? So I can say I have Facebook ads. And if we wait a couple of seconds, we can see that it responds quite quickly saying you run Facebook ads. Are you the person who makes the final call? So now it's qualifying my authority in the business. So I can say, the marketing manager. So yes. And now finally we get to that budget, just asking if I'm over that threshold of 5K, and I'll just say yes, I make 10K per month. And now that it knows that I'm qualified, it's going to use the Slack tool to notify the sales team and I'll give them my contact information. So let's just check that out real quick. You can see the amount of times that I've been qualified, but it is essentially my first and last name along with contact information saying, hey, this guy's qualified, go close him. And let me just go to my Figma here to actually explain how good I think that this solution is, right? And so much so that I think this is better than humans when it comes to high scale qualification. And the reason why is because, well, firstly, the AI takes more time to qualify prospects at scale. So when you have human qualifiers on text with so many people, it takes less time for them to decide that they are unqualified because they risk time on someone who's not going to buy. But the AI can actually spend the same amount of attention to qualify them for everyone. And so that increases the likelihood that people choose to opt in and ultimately buy your product or service. So on that time factor, it also gets rid of tire kickers without time sacrifice. Again, a qualifier is afraid of, wasting their time with someone who's not going to buy as opposed to someone who might. And so the AI isn't actually impacted by this because it can spend the same amount of time with everyone, including all the tire kickers who are just there for a quote or something like that. They get filtered out the pipeline and you don't have to worry about them. And all of this while sounding human, so using slang words, making very concise text that humans would use to keep the whole interaction and conversation very natural. And I personally really like this solution. All right, last but not least, this is an internal text-based AI who acts as a training assistant for employees to improve on their sales analytics. So this is my sales app that I created. I made a whole video on that, so if you're interested, then you can check it out. But it's essentially a platform where people can make cold calls or lead follow-up calls with voice AI. Once the call gets analyzed, they can then consult with an AI trainer about their call, which they can then get personalized advice to improve on their sales metrics. And so what we're doing here is a user or employee is talking to the salesy assistant here, that's the name of the platform, and it is fetching a whole bunch of information from Supabase. Now this information from Supabase has information both about the analytics as well as a file containing hours and hours of Hormozi's sales masterclass to actually give them personalized advice back to the AI chatbot, and the AI chatbot can then supply that to the employee to have actionable steps to improve on their performance. So this is what it looks like over here. Just for a bit of context, this is where you can make all your calls. Once you make all the calls, it gets analyzed by AI in the statistics tab over here. So if we toggle our yearly stats, we can see that we have a few stats here, kind of number of calls and whatnot. And then you can then go to the coach tab which we can toggle the exact same thing. So if we provide this chat box with the yearly information and then click attach my call data, we are giving the assistant access to all of our analytics from the past year. So if I say again, how many calls have I made this year? It is able to see that I've made 92 calls, and at the same time, it is able to extract information from that Hormozy Sales Masterclass file and give me actionable insights on my conversion rate, my talk to listen ratio, and all of these statistics where it can see that I'm lacking and actually give me advice to improve on them. So within a large team, when people are constantly trying to get information from their team leader and whatnot, this is why this solution is so good. So with this solution, this chatbot to help the people out and improve their ability to do certain things. It might be for sales, it might be for something else. Team leaders are actually able to focus and prioritize on what truly matters. So they might only have to train the top 5% of people who are struggling with something more serious as opposed to minor and less important problems. And by doing so, they can ultimately produce more efficiently. So that means less distractions and scalable training at the same time for people who are trying to get access to that information. And from the people that I've talked to about the solution and how it can be expanded, it is actually a win-win for employees and leaders, because employees are constantly trying to get information out of their team leaders, and when they are distracted, sometimes that response might not actually be helpful in the first place for that employee trying to improve on whatever it is that they're trying to improve. But through the solution, the AI can actually focus entirely on the individual employee at scale, while the team leader can focus on the high leverage activities that actually move the needle forward. So these are 4 different types of conversational AI that are taking different parts of businesses by storm by providing massive benefits. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.